What is going on, IVE Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to summarize my interview with Dr. Stephen Anton. If you haven't watched that interview though, I do highly recommend it. It's chock full of information from Dr. Stephen Anton, but if you want a quick Cliff Note breakdown of what we talked about, I'm going to do that in this video. Stay tuned. I was able to sit down and talk with Dr. Stephen Anton on many of the highly frequent questions that come up in regards to intermittent fasting. Now, keep in mind that Dr. Stephen Anton does have a PhD and has been selected as the chief in clinical research within the Department of Aging and Geriatric Research. So what he has to say on the topic is very important because he's actually in the trenches searching for all these different lifestyle interventions. He is researching and conducting studies that involve intermittent fasting. So we're going to go ahead and summarize the interview, but before I do that, I do want to mention that the jump ropes are still in stock. Please go ahead and grab yours before they sell out. So if you want your jump rope, only $16.50. The Fledge Fitness jump rope, you can't go wrong with the aluminum handle, swivel design for an effective speed rope. Go ahead and click this card, or the link would be in the description down below. Now let's go ahead and summarize this interview for you. First thing I did is I asked Dr. Stephen Anton an introductory question, which was simply, what do you tell someone when they want to start intermittent fasting? What are the best advice that you have for someone starting intermittent fasting? And Dr. Stephen Anton went the route of explaining why you have to ease your way into it and make sure that your body is comfortable going into the process of fasting. He was referring to the 16-8 fast, that you don't even have to go that extreme when you first start. You can slowly climb your way up, and as your body becomes more adjusted and you start to lose feelings of hunger and craving, then you can use how you feel as the litmus test if you should continue that day or just hold it off till the next day when you feel much better. I also went ahead and asked Dr. Stephen Anton, when did he take notice of intermittent fasting and what made him take interest into intermittent fasting? He did state that it was 15 years ago where he was part of a study that conducted a 1 meal a day protocol, but it was a very aggressive setup that he personally would not have constructed himself. He said that that initial impression of intermittent fasting actually put him off to intermittent fasting, and it took several years for him to go back into looking at intermittent fasting as an alternative method for weight loss and health when more research was coming out about animal studies that were showing positive results for animals. He felt that just caloric restriction alone had great benefits, but there were limitations or negatives that came with that. He felt that fat-free mass, which is all the mass that can reduce muscle, for example, that is not fat, was reducing at a significant rate when just applying caloric restriction. But he saw that in animal studies that was not the case when applying intermittent fasting. He saw that fat mass was predominantly reduced and fat-free mass was actually protected. This then led him to come back to intermittent fasting and test to see if he can probably use other protocols or other models. And just to emphasize, it wasn't because the system wasn't working, but it was because the participants who did that 1 meal at night at 12 midnight didn't feel good and would eat a lot of food during their meal time. So it was more psychological than anything else. Dr. Stephen Anton puts adherence and comfort over everything else, which makes sense because if you're not able to do something for the long haul for the rest of your life, essentially, then it's just going to lead to a rebound effect where you may gain all your weight back after completing a diet. So what made him really feel good about intermittent fasting was looking at the 15 clinical trials that showed that intermittent fasting with humans was actually very beneficial, utilizing the 16-8 method or the alternate day fasting method. He saw that significant fat mass was lost in the 16-8 method and no fat-free mass was affected when utilizing intermittent fasting. Moving on, I asked him about coffee, as this has been a form of contention with a lot of people when it comes to intermittent fasting. I personally don't like to consume coffee because I want to minimize my crutches as much as possible. The only thing I utilize is water, but he noted that coffee can actually be a friend to you when intermittent fasting. It's so low in calories that it wouldn't affect you negatively in terms of your insulin, and it has a lot of properties in it that actually help with your ketone bodies and things like autophagy. It can also help you suppress appetite. Then I moved on to ask him, why do most doctors, almost all across the board, when you're doing your checkup, when you're going to the doctor for any sicknesses or anything like that, why do they all tell you not to fast. If you were to bring up intermittent fasting to those doctors, they would normally say no, follow the breakfast, lunch, and dinner model. He went into some detail, but he talked about epidemiology studies that show, well, if you skip breakfast, you tend to eat more later on, or you tend to eat bigger portions because you're more hungry. But basically, there's nothing connecting skipping breakfast to gaining weight or losing weight based on a physiological aspect. But he feels like those doctors are saying that to their patients because it's the safest thing that you can say to someone. But he did mention with the emerging research that's coming with intermittent fasting that more and more doctors are accepting this intermittent fasting model. Then I went ahead and asked him, with all things being equal, does intermittent fasting burn more fat than caloric restriction? His answer to that was they kind of work together, and you should always select what makes you feel better. If fasting makes you feel better, then you can select that. If caloric restriction makes you feel better, then you can select that. But he did dive a little bit deeper and reiterated the fact that he looked at people who were doing just caloric restriction and people who were doing intermittent fasting with caloric restriction, and he noticed that caloric restriction, there was a reduction in fat-free mass. With intermittent fasting, there was no reduction in fat-free mass, just in the fat mass, which is very, very important. I also asked him about links to anti-aging, which he dove very, very deep. And for that, I would recommend you actually go ahead and watch the video, as it is very, very detailed, and I don't want to misquote him in any way. I also touched on if intermittent fasting lowers your metabolic rate, another point of contention when it comes to the intermittent fasting community. What Dr. Steven Anton stated was that from his research, it does not appear that intermittent fasting actually lowers your metabolic rate, and there are some evidence that show that it actually helps with your metabolic rate, increasing your metabolic rate, as fat-free mass is the primary driver for metabolic rate. And since intermittent fasting protects fat-free mass, it then suggests that intermittent fasting can actually assist you in increasing your metabolic rate. We both went back and forth bouncing off of each other's answers, but I asked him to clarify for the audience, if someone wanted to fast every single day, would it affect them? And he stated, based on the data that they have so far, there is no evidence to suggest that it would affect them negatively. I also went ahead and talked to him about the fat-free mass that he kept indicating, in which intermittent fasting was showing that it didn't reduce fat-free mass, but caloric restriction was. And I wanted him to elaborate on why he felt that that was the case. Interestingly enough, he talked about the ketone body, and he stated that data is showing that ketone bodies not only help you use the energy from your fat, but it also helps protect your fat-free mass. And because you are simultaneously burning body fat for energy, you're protecting muscle and you're utilizing body fat. But he did have a caveat and stated that you could essentially fast for too long. It is possible that at a certain point, your body will tap into some protein, some amino acids to convert it into glucose, as your brain can run on ketones, but does need a certain percentage of glucose every now and then. I did also ask him what's more important, caloric restriction or your hormonal responses. And he stated that it is still based on how you feel, but it isn't really one versus the other. It is both of them working together. He also touched on his debate that he had in Washington in regards to intermittent fasting, and he breaks that down in the interview, stating that it was more of a platform to bring intermittent fasting into the conversation. He was for intermittent fasting versus another doctor who was skeptical of intermittent fasting's benefits. So that's it, guys. That's the summarization of the interview with Dr. Steven Anton. I hope this made it easier for you guys to see what the questions and answers were if you didn't have time to see the 48-minute interview. But he is much more detailed than this breakdown, and I would highly suggest you go and watch that video if you haven't yet. And I want to thank my patrons for my Patreon, and I'm going to put their names right up here.